This morning, President George W. Bush hosts the 4th annual Warrior Open in Dallas, Texas. The first round kicked off yesterday. It's a tournament for wounded Warrior golfers, but you got to be pretty darn good, so we sent Brian.
Good morning, Brian Kilmeade. Good morning, Mr. President.
Hey,
good morning.
Nice to see you guys. And the good news is I don't have to golf this time. The great news is President Bush has decided to give us a few minutes. Mr. President, great to see you again.
Good to see you again, Brian.
And I'm glad to see you with 2 new knees. You
That's
doing
right.
all right?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Thank you. I'm rehabbing.
Yes, but soon you're going to be back on the road better than ever. I talk to people with these knee replacements. They do great.
Good.
First off, yesterday, I understand a special day. The governor, your brother, came down. Kelly Pickler performed.
Yes. We're honoring our vets, in this case through golf, but we also thanked our many supporters at the Bush Center. And so Jeb was there. He and I did a conversation. I, of course, was pushing him to run for president. He, of course, was saying, I haven't made up my mind.
Right.
And I truly don't think he has. But and plus, I don't think he liked it that his older brother was pushing him.
Right. You don't think he liked it, but you still have the same dynamic. You think you told me a couple of years ago he has a skill set, and being a governor, that's also a great prerequisite.
Yeah.
But the question is the things in his life, personal life, make you ready?
Yeah.
And does he want it?
Yeah, I think he wants to be president. I think he'd be a great president. He understands what it's like to be president for not only the person running or serving, plus family. He's seen his dad. He's seen his brother. And so he's a very thoughtful man, and he's weighing his options.
Right. So he was here. That was a special time.
Yeah.
This is also a special tournament for you. It's the 4th year you're doing it.
Yes, sir.
That'd be really good golf. Right?
Well, there's some great golfers out there. Chad Pfeiffer's won it 3 years in a row. He's 1 over going into the final round. He's on a prosthesis. It's remarkable to watch not only Chad, but the other golfers who've overcome tough injuries,
right.
Live life to the fullest.
It's you get emotional even when you talk about it.
Yeah.
Why was it so important to you? Here we are, 6 years later, to still serve the veterans, to serve our country.
Well, first of all, our veterans served us more than you and I could serve them. I mean, their sacrifices were historic and important, and I feel a special kinship to them. I mean, I'm asked all the time, do I miss Washington? The answer is no. I miss being pampered. But other than that, I don't miss much. I do miss saluting men and women who have volunteered to serve our nation.
Now, a lot of them served in Iraq, and we're looking at what's going on in Iraq right now. Unlike a year ago, we saw the mess in Syria, and you talked a little bit about that. If these guys are saying to themselves, man, was my sacrifice worth it, what do you say to them?
I say it really was. The world is better off without Saddam Hussein in power or the Taliban in power. Obviously, we're still in Iraq. The presence isn't as significant as it was in 2009, but we're there, and now we've got pilots in harm's way, dealing with a group of ideologues who murder the innocent. Same exact modus operandi of those who murdered 3,000 on our soil.
You said last year, we gave Saddam Hussein, the world's going to be better without him, and it is, and America's safer without him, and it is. And you said, history will tell if the Iraqis are going to make the most of their opportunity to live in freedom. Yeah. Did they blow it?
Well, it's not over. There's a lot of, there's a lot of strong institutions in Iraq. The Iraqi people obviously are going to have to make the decision as to whether or not they want to live in peace. They're not ready to do it on their own, and that's the lesson we've learned recently.
Not only that, you knew it in 2007. In fact, this is President George Bush in 2007, before the surge. Well, you're trying to tell people we need a surge, and here's why. Here's what you said, and here's how accurate it is.
Begin withdrawing before our commanders tell us we're ready would be dangerous. It would mean that we'd be risking mass killings on a horrific scale. It would mean we allow the terrorists to establish a safe haven in Iraq to replace the one they lost in Afghanistan. It would mean increasing the probability that American troops would have to return at some later date to confront an enemy that is even more dangerous.
How did you know?
Well, I know the nature of the enemy. Anybody who kills 3,000 innocents and beheads people because of their religion or because of their point of view is dangerous. And there's a short-term strategy, which is to bring them to justice, and a long-term strategy, which is to encourage free societies to prevail so as to marginalize their ideology. The long-term strategy just takes time. And I tell people all the time, off the record, by the way, that Condi Rice's relatives were enslaved in the greatest democracy ever for 100 years, and democracy takes time to take hold. And yet there's an impatience with that process, and Americans have got to understand that the lesson of 9/11 is still important today as it was right after 9/11, and that is the human condition elsewhere matters to our national security.
Right, and also Martin Dempsey came out as chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff and says, well known, the military recommended that we leave a residual force of 10 to 15,000, maybe more. Did you feel the same way?
I did, yeah. President has to make the choices he thinks are important. I'm not going to second guess our president. I understand how tough the job is, and to have a former president, bloviating and second guessing is, I don't think, good for the presidency or the country. He and his team will make the best informed decisions they can make, and but I agreed with General Dempsey's assessment.
Right. Now, I missed you, but you were in New York with Bill Clinton.
Yes, I was.
And you and the former president clearly get along. And I know your mom says that he feels like an adopted son. That's how close the Bushes are. And I think America likes to see a Democrat and Republican get along like that. So I'm just wondering, you called him, he revealed, at least twice a year and would talk for 30 to 45 minutes. Why did you think that was necessary?
Because he was president, and had seen things I hadn't seen yet, or we both shared the same experiences, and I wanted to get his take on it. Plus, I like talking to him. We're the only baby boomer presidents,
right?
And now we're the only baby boomer presidents who happen to be grandfathers.
I know.
So when his grandchild was born, I called him and then handed the phone to 41, who spoke to him as well.
And there's Mila and there's now Charlotte in this world, the next generation.
Maybe they'll be pals.
Well, I was going to ask you who's cuter, but I think that they're both too cute to...
no contest.
It's too controversial.
Yeah.
But Mr. President, I was just reading different various books, and they talk about JFK used to pick up the phone and call Eisenhower, and Nixon got calls from almost every president when he was around. Has President Obama called you?
Well, he called me to tell me that the nation killed Osama bin Laden. Or the SEAL Team 6 got Osama bin Laden, for which I was grateful. But no, he's been, he's not on a regular basis, which is okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings. And, it's a decision he has made. Look, presidents tend to rely upon the people they're close to, and he's got a team that he has grown close to over the 6 years he's been president, or nearly 6 years, and he relies upon their judgment, and I understand that.
Right, and also something else just popped up, and that was the Secret Service.
Yeah.
The interim leader of the Secret Service is a guy, Joe Clancy, who you know quite well.
I know Clancy very well. He's a good man, and I trust his judgment a lot. And Joe will do a good job.
Right. So he's taking over. Now, on the Wounded Warriors, last night I understand very emotional. Out here today, what do you expect from the guys?
Well, I expect good golf. I mean, we've got a competitive tournament.
Right. 36 holes. You have to have, a 10 handicap?
Yeah, probably a little more. But we've got low gross, low net to win. Plus, we've got a Pro-Am. My buddy Ben Crenshaw's here. Tom Watson's going to be here. The greatest winner ever on any PGA event, Kathy Whitworth, is here. She's not playing.
Right.
But there's people out here supporting not only the vets but golf, and should be a pretty good sized crowd. We're not trying to have giant galleries,
right?
But we are honoring the military service organizations that have supported these vets as they transition back into society.
Yeah, I know you have some specific ones: Swords of Plowshares, Team Red, White, and Blue, the Charlotte Bridge Home, the Stevens and Alexandra Cohen Military Family Clinic.
Right. These are groups that have proved their worth. In other words, one of the things at the Bush Center that we're concerned about is making sure that the results that these programs promise are delivered.
Right.
After the Vietnam War, there wasn't any support of our vets, really. After these conflicts, something like 46,000 NGOs have sprung up to help our vets. The question we at the Bush Center are asking, are these programs effective?
Right.
One way to help contributors know that is to honor those groups that are delivering results. These 4 groups are really helping these vets.
Are you worried with 2.6 million coming back having served they got to get careers, second careers. A lot of them are banged up. Do you feel like this is a small part of an important issue?
Well, it is. It's a small part. We're playing our part not only in honoring vets through groups through events like this, but also we've conducted a joint study with Syracuse University and have discovered some startling news. One, that vets don't believe the general population hear them, and the general population don't understand what vets are saying. And it really affects employment. So take, for example, somebody from a major corporation looking for work, or any corporation looking for an employee, and the guy puts on his application form skill set sniper. Well, person,
it's hard to get a banking job with a sniper.
It is. On the other hand, if you'd have put skilled, patient, willing to work hard, and calm under pressure, then all of a sudden an employer might say, this is the kind of person we want to hire.
Absolutely. Now, you had an exciting project that I think is going to be a huge success, and it's coming out shortly. You did a book on your dad.
Well, that's nice of you to say, particularly coming from such a notable author as yourself.
Thank you very much.
I did write a book on Dad. It's coming out November the 11th. The idea was given to me by David McCullough's daughter, who told me on the ranch.
Maybe the nation's premier historian.
Yeah, he's an awesome writer, good man. She said, my dad always wished he had read a book by John Q. Adams about his father, John Adams. And I said, I can do that. I had just finished Decision Points, or was writing Decision Points, and so I took this project on. In the beginning, I made it very clear in the introduction that for those looking for an objective analysis of George H.W. Bush, this isn't the place you ought to turn.
Exactly.
This is a love story about a great man.
I think America understands what a great family and what a special man your dad is. I cannot wait to read the book. And this is a man with 53% approval rating.
Oh, yeah.
And when he left office 40, every week he keeps going up. I don't know what the magic is.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you I cared. But thank you.
I knew you didn't. That's why I thought I would tell you. Mr. President, thanks so much.
Right, great.
I'm
Thanks for
honored
coming.
to be here, and thanks so much for the invitation. We as a show really appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's always great to see you.
Yes, sir.
All right, and we'll see you doing sprints with your new knees soon, next year.
Yeah.
All right, back to you guys in the studio.
That. All right.
Presidents that don't care
Thank
about
you, Mr.
approval
President.
ratings. I don't care.
All right. Great interview, Brian.